You are listening to the Home Service Business Success Show. We have been accelerating the path of success for home service companies since 2011.
Your reputation as a business hinges upon not what you do when things go great, but how do you handle it when things don't go great.
Reviews are going to come into play, Chris, either way, no matter what you're doing here.
Online reviews are so important that companies have built platforms to get these reviews. Some of you guys have been drinking too much haterade and you hate Yelp.
Hey, my friends, welcome back to Home Service Business Success Show. I'm your host, Kenny Chapman, along with Chris Crew. Chris, how you doing, brother?
I am excellent, man. I'm super excited about today's episode.
Oh, man, me too. Today, here we are already, episode 6, I believe. Episode 6 of Season 2 of Home Service Business Success. And today, Chris, let's break it down. You know, we've done different levels of content, different depths of content. Today, we want to talk about reviews and online reviews that how, you know, many of you know what a student I am of psychology and the human brain and decision-making process. And obviously we know and believe that everything is sales. If you're having the conversation of where you want to go to dinner, you're in sales. If you're having a conversation about whether somebody should say something good about your business, you're in sales, and everything in between. And so let's dive in. And, you know, I think some people are a little burnt on reviews. And I think, you know, it's interesting to observe the shift. There was a time not terribly long ago, I'll say maybe 5 years ago, maybe longer than that, where I was saying they'll go away eventually because everything's becoming automated. Back then you could go buy a service for $300 a month that would write a bunch of reviews about your company and, you know, all this fake stuff going on. And now as algorithms have gotten better and trickier and sniffers are out there for different types of, you know, truth or not, and however good they are, we're not here to chunk that down. But here's the reality, Chris, reviews matter and they still matter. And they matter as much as they ever have and possibly ever will. So how do we guide people in the home service business space to really focus on this and maximize and optimize when it comes to reviews?
Kenny, if you'd allow me, let's rewind all the way prior to the www.world before www. Became the resource for everybody. Everybody became very aware of the World Wide Web. Before that, it was very simple. You provide service for a customer, you do a really good job, and you create a memorable experience for them that they want to tell their friends and family about.
That's right.
And that was the best customer you would get, is the referral customer. The challenge is that network only spreads so far.
Correct.
In the World Wide Web world, now searchers everywhere can find that. And what's happened is now the internet has recognized the value that has. And now online reviews are so important that companies have built platforms to get these reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And because why? Well, there's the review on Google. There's the review on Facebook. There's a review on Instagram. There's a review. I can keep going, right? There's all these
Right.
sites. And I know right now that I'm going to go ahead and say it. Some of you guys have been drinking too much haterade and you hate Yelp. You hate them. Like you drink that haterade and you're going to hate them even more. The reality is this. There's multiple authorities when it comes to how good you are. And the reality is it depends on the searcher's experience. And I'm going to just lay this down and then we're going to jump in. Different searchers have different criterias around reviews. Example, for me, I look at number of reviews. That's the first thing. How many reviews do they have? Then I look at what the score is. And then I double down and go two more. I go 2 layers deep. Number 3, how long has this business been around? Because if they don't have a lot of reviews, I don't knock them for only having 65 or 70 or 100 or 200 because I realize they've not been in business for a long time. But this is really the magic. It's the 4th one. I go in and I look at their lowest star rating reviews and I find out how the business responded to that review.
What did they do when it happened? Exactly.
Because the
Exactly.
reality is, Kenny, no business is perfect, and they're going to make mistakes, but your reputation as a business hinges upon not what you do when things go great, but how do you handle it when things don't go great?
Right, and I think, just realizing it's do I agree with all of it and the people can hide behind their computer screens rather than calling the business and asking. I mean, all of us have it. We've had it at Blue Collar. I mean, it's a reality that we live in. And so to your point, I can be upset about it and argue with the reality, or I can go, it's another communication device, a communication platform, and a training tool for my team and for how we handle these things, and realizing, to your point, everybody's going to look at reviews different. So it used to be, oh, this is a 4.8 and they've got 100 and something reviews, I'm down. Now some people are going to search by recency, some people are going to search by star rating, some people are going to do what you do and go, all right, well, if they really screwed it up or somebody was really upset, how do they handle it? But make no mistake that there's psychology, and Amazon's the one that really trained us. Google wants to take the credit for the review world, but Amazon's the one that changed the psychology. The buying process for people came from Amazon. And so now, regardless, I mean, we might not be advertising on Amazon, but our customers are being trained on Amazon to look at goods and services, and how you look for a service business in the home service space might be different than you look for a sushi restaurant in your hometown. But reviews are going to come into play, Chris, either way, no matter what you're doing here. And I think it's important to realize that these really affect buying decisions. Let's drop a little data. Like let's share some of the stuff that we pulled up for this episode.
You mean like 93% of consumers say that online reviews impacts their purchasing decision? 93%?
93. 93.
93% of them. That's like, let's say it again, 93, which means only 7% of people say, "Yeah, it doesn't really matter. That doesn't really matter to me."
And that what blows me away is that this whole almost 80% of people trust an online review as much as they do recommendations from friends and family. Think about that. 8 out of 10 people take a random stranger's experience, which can be completely manufactured, right? It doesn't have any level of truth anywhere in it, but people are blindly following. They're just going, "Oh, that's what the masses are doing, then I'm okay with that." Again, whether I agree with it or not is 100% irrelevant to the fact that it's going on and it affects my business every single day.
Well, here's what's even crazier, Kenny, that we're trusting the standards of a stranger.
Exactly.
We don't even understand what their standards are, and so yet we trust it. We've just learned that, hey, the masses say, and that's why this sounds crazy, but 54% of consumers say that they would consider using a business with a minimum star rating of a 4.
Mm.
In other words, half the population expects you to not be perfect. Let me say that again. 54% said they would use you if you had a 4-star rating.
And I'm going to go out on a limb, and we don't have data for this, and it's not all about data. We just want to drop a few stats for you, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I believe the more educated, and I don't mean that from a judgment standpoint, but the more educated client knows that you're gonna get it wrong because they're doing something productive in life. They're not overeducated, underperforming. They're actually playing the game of life, and they're living in reality that, guess what? If you're doing a lot of cool stuff, you're gonna have some haters. And
Yeah.
and that's all there is to it. Or you're not doing enough and you're not putting yourself out there enough and you're not doing, moving and shaking in the world. So I think it's important that we look at this. Let's just drop two more.
Hey, I love it. 87% of people wanna see 3 to 5-star ratings on a business before they would consider using it. In other words, that validates exactly what you just said. they kind of expect you to not get it right, and then I'm gonna use my filter of and that's my litmus test to find out how good of a company they are. If somebody gives you a 3-star rating, let's just say, the technician, I feel like the invoice they overcharged me. Let's do that one. They were expensive because that's the one that just really riles everybody up, right? Because they're, how do I respond to this? Or company wouldn't give me a breakdown of time and material. Like, how do you handle these? Well, here's the reality.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
reality is they're sharing with you their initial experience. Not everybody's gonna pick up the phone and call you because it's easier just to give you an online review because you got some platform that asks them to do that, right? In the old days, Kenny, we
Right.
had this like little fail safe where it was like, if it's less than a 5-star, don't let them go to Google and leave that review. We'll leave it on our platform and then we'll have an opportunity to reach out and call.
Right.
Things are gonna continue to evolve, but here's the reality. When someone gives you a less than stellar review, how you respond matters. And I'm gonna say this, I highly recommend this is worth your time in this episode. Never sort it out through a keyboard. Sort it out on the phone, and fix it with the customer over the phone, and then as a part of fixing it, ask the customer to go in and then not change the review, but provide
Right.
a review on top of the
Keep
review
it
that says,
updated. Yeah.
Yeah, company totally took care of me, would recommend." And I tell them, "Leave it as a 3-star. Don't change it."
Yep.
Because that's the power of what we're talking about, which is the power of social proof. That's really the value in the review.
That's where it kind and this, ladies and gentlemen, this, I mean, go back in the 70s and 80s and, I'm looking at Crest toothpaste in between commercials as a little kid, and all of a sudden 9 out of 10 dentists recommend that I use Crest. Like, that was social proof back in the day, right? And now as it's continued to evolve, then we went into infomercials. Those of us that used to have a hard time sleeping in our late teens, or maybe we got home from partying and just kicked the TV on, and next thing you know, you're watching Tony Robbins, and he's got Oprah talking about him. That's social proof. And
Yeah.
and now, what's interesting, Chris, is I want to leave the statistic world with this, and let's talk about getting more reviews. But this ties to it. 70% of customers say they're more likely to leave a review when an account is responsive to reviews. So to your point, you're talking about, hey, make sure you go handle that negative one. Make sure you get there because people are going to look at that. I want to make sure that we're responding to all of them and not just the general canned response of, oh, thank you for using our business. Like, get in there and there's some personality there. And you might go, oh, Kenny, I don't have time for that. Or we farm that out. That's a external company that does, that's fine. But this is communication of your business and people are making buying decisions here. So if 70% are going, hey, I might leave a review because we want to talk about how to get more reviews today too. Well, one of the ways you get more reviews then is responding to all of your reviews, good and bad, and reinforcing that and calling out team and different things like that. So it just becomes a communication platform that people are looking at.
Think of the number, Kenny, of what it cost the company to respond to online reviews. What does that cost them, dollar figure wise?
Hmm.
It costs time, of which you pay people. I get that. We could really get grant, but you're not having to pay to respond. So it's free advertisement. And I don't want to get off on blue collar, but I'm gonna say this. I have it set as a standard in this organization that when we get an online review, even if it's just a star rating, it's a standard at blue collar, we reply. Now, that might not be scalable for your business, and I'm not saying that you need to do that, but I'm telling you to this point, when I go leave a review, Kenny, on any business, I will then get emailed when that business replies back to my review. And I know that they now have acknowledged that I did them a solid. And for me,
Yeah,
I'm going to continue to come back. I'm going to continue to
that's
use that
right.
company because I recognize they value my input and my opinion.
And it's different. It's even it's there's risk for the customer leaving a review. There's getting out of their own comfort zone. Yet, yeah, you've got your certified people and the people that want to go around and eat at every restaurant, and you've got all that. But think about the normal consumer. If Chris says, "Hey, I'm looking for a carpet cleaning business, Kenny, and I'm like, oh, dude, you ought to hit these people up. They did great for me. That's behind the scenes. It's safe. I'm talking to my friend. And then when said carpet cleaning company tells me, hey, it would really help us, if you would leave us a review, however they do that. And, we believe in process and strategic timing, placement, and scripting around that process, obviously, because to get Kenny to go do it online is much more effort. There's much more risk of judgment. There's much more. What if the company doesn't take care of Chris? Then Chris can be like, yeah, dude, I didn't have the same experience you did. We've all had that where we've done a personal referral. But if I go out online and I put my name on something out on the web per se, now it's all of a sudden like, man, what the heck? You're tying yourself to a company a little bit and people are afraid of that. So we've got to really make it easy. We've really got to make it valuable to them and make it a part of the process.
I don't want to I don't want to go in the field and do donuts. For those that hang around us long enough, you know what that means. Go hanging a left into the field and doing donuts. We're getting off the highway for a minute. I'd like to do two things, Kenny, if it's acceptable in the podcast today. I'd like to do a quick role play just to see how close our
Let's do it.
teams are at getting reviews. And then the second one, I'd like to talk about how the online review now has become much more valuable through other search AI inquiries.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
let's go to the home. Uh, all of my technicians, all of my salespeople should be trained in the process of how we collect reviews. Remember that the online review is the nod that says you did a great job. That's how I feel about an online review. They're super valuable, but it's also the nod to my company that we're doing a great job. So I want to make sure that all my people are trained in how to get online reviews. So if you customer facing, and by the way, there's a whole, you can run contests, you can do stuff like that. But I did this in my company and I highly recommend that others do it today. We teach it here today at the Blue Collar Success Group in our Professional Tech Academy, how to actually seed the review. So it sounds a little something like this, Kenny, if we could go into a skill practice. Hey, Kenny, just so you know today, my goal before I leave and wrap up is to make sure that I deliver 5-star service to you. At the end of my appointment, Kenny, my company is going to be asking for you to provide an online review. And anything less than a 5-star, I'm going to feel like I failed you. So, Kenny, if you couldn't consciously give me a 5-star, if you'll let me know what I need to do to take care of that today, please let me know. Now, before I close out and I'm closing that job out, if your business card company, I keep that business card that I handed them out the door, or I provide them a business card now and say, hey, Kenny, I just want to let you know today it was an honor to be able to be your electrician in your home. My company recognizes us for a job well done. And the only way that they really know that we did a great job is when customers tell them that we've done a great job. You could do that by leaving us an online review. My name is Chris, and I would consider it a personal favor if you would leave an online review and mention my name in it.
Ding, 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 ding. Let that land. My name is Chris, and I would consider it a personal favor. Guess what? The customer did not do business with Chris's company. They did business with Chris. And so, and I get it. Like we talk about the three, buys that are made. They're buying, yes, they're buying the company, yes, they're buying the technician, then they're buying the product or service. And so that point that goes back to when I was talking about the risk of putting yourself out there online. Like Chris just did there, and think about the underlying parts. Now we're not trying to dupe anybody here. This isn't, when Christy's a Lexus fan, so she's on her third Lexus or something. And at Lexus, I love them as a company, but my God, they beat you up on like just the whole, strong arming you. Almost feel like for that, for the mail rebate that or the mail review they're going to send you, so on and so forth. That's not what we're talking about here. But there is some sales psychology, because getting an online review is a form of sales. And it's a form of rewarding good behavior. So Chris, when you say in the beginning, when I'm done here, and you run through that, you're creating what in psychology and sales we call an open loop. So you created that loop that's open in the customer's mind all the way through the service. Now at the end of the call, you're coming back and you're closing that loop as a personal experience and a personal relationship. Now I don't have to go on and have this risk of everything the company ever does. I'm going, my boy Chris took care of me here. And I want to challenge your abundance thinking right now, because some of you right now go into scarcity mode and go, yeah, but Kenny, my competitors are watching my reviews. And if Chris gets named too many times, then they're going to come after him. They're going to try to steal Chris from me. I know some of you, I get it. I've been through scarcity thinking and I still overcome it all the time. But that's one of those things. Do you want to live in that fear, or do you want Chris to get recognized and all of a sudden you've got customers calling in and go, I saw some reviews on Chris. Is there any way I get him out here? Oh, I don't want that headache on my dispatch board. Think about where all this shows up, brother. It's crazy.
Holy smokes, Kenny. Two things. Number one, our listeners would think we're reading some script or something. No, this is 100%. We're shooting raw for you. We have an outline of things we cover just to give you back a little peek behind the curtain, but like this is not scripted out. But to this point, Kenny, my number one requested technician was Felix. And Felix did exactly what we asked him to do. And check this out. He would get requested by new customers. It took us a while to figure out how it was happening and why it was happening.
Right.
And then we went,
Right.
oh, it's because his name's in the review. Felix did such a
That's
great,
right.
and so here's what happened. Then the other team members started recognizing, oh, that's how that happens. And then the
Yeah.
adoption rate of people doing it actually picked up. So I want to say that. Number two, dropping into scarcity mindset will not change the fact whether your technician's name is tied to it. With AI today, and I can show you this, we actually have a vendor partner at the Blue Collar Success Group that does market analysis on your competitors based on online presence across every platform, customer sentiment, job volume, all of these things. I love this vendor. They're amazing. And in addition to that, they provide additional competitive analysis in your recruiting to do exactly what you just said, Kenny. They can tell you the technicians that get the most reviews in a market. And with the proper AI build out, you can find that technician online. And guess what? In a lot of states, those technicians have to have a license. Therefore, there's a database of information. Let me just say this. If you live in the scarcity mindset, you either are going to have to run for the hills and hide because AI is going to continue to expose stuff like this, or you're going to lean into it and be like, oh, this is an amazing tool. I now have a competitive advantage. I don't want to get any more on AI, but it does more than just what people think it does. Like it can give you a very competitive
Yeah.
advantage in this landscape.
And I think the core here is transparency is the new norm. That's the new reality. I remember Peter Diamandis told me several years back. I was at an event that he spoke at, and he said privacy is gone. It's over. Forget about it. And this is like 5 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. And it's like, no, you can learn anything, anywhere, anytime about anybody. Now, again, we're not here to talk about that angle, but I want to talk about it because for a long time, and I know I did it in my company, we watched blue collar members kind of come in and when they first join our ecosystem, have a little bit of scarcity. Well, Chris, I want to build a little sandbox and a little barrier around my company and around my team so nobody knows what we're doing. I've got the trade secrets, and some of you operate in markets where maybe your best practice group has territories because it's a secret information. There's no secret information. My God, we run an education company and our information is not a whole hell of a lot different than anybody else's information. It's who we are. It's how we package. It's how we process. It's how we treat people. It's how you feel when you interact with us. That's where the magic is at. And that's exactly the truth in the service business, which is why customers want to write reviews. There are 1,000 people right now today that can do exactly everything your company does. So get over yourself and lean into the magic of being unique and individual in how you go about it. And that's where people start showing up to get better reviews. That's where your team starts embracing the training. That's where people start doing great jobs and following scripts. And the next thing you know, Chris, you're on the momentum and your review stack is growing.
Let me recap that. Don't get pissed off at Kenny and Chris that this is going on and that we said it. You can be mad at the fact that this is a reality, but information is everywhere. Like,
That's
there
right.
is no secrets anymore, right?
Right.
There's only people that perform said information. And so we're going to move on from that, because when we look at how reviews impact revenue. So I've said this before, Kenny, that your online presence is either a multiplier or a divider of your marketing dollars.
Of your
A
dollars. Yep.
really good
Absolutely.
online presence, for every dollar you spend, you might get $1.50, $2 of value of marketing.
That's right.
If you have a very bad online presence or little to no presence at all, and customers can't find you, like you don't have a website, you have no social media. Now what you're doing is customers are going, why does this company not have a website? Why do they at least not have a Facebook page? And I'm looking going, they haven't been active in 3 months. Customers are now going, why? And so we increase consumer confidence when we have a good online presence with reviews. That then translates over to real dollars. In fact, a study was done that 31% of consumers spend more money with a company with excellent reviews.
And so and think about that, where that's what we're looking to increase revenue. We're looking to expedite and create exponential profitability. We're looking to grow the business. This isn't, let's be clear, this isn't just about reviews. This is about growing the business. And so hang with us. I know there's a bit of a longer episode. We're going to get you out of here in just a couple of minutes, but stick with us. Because Chris, as we wrap today, let's talk about the power. Okay, I've got them. Let's say I've got, you know, 300 and I'm at a 4.8. I'm at a 4.9. I've got 300 reviews and they sit there on Google and I hope people find them. But is there a way I can leverage those a little bit? Like, people said it, it's there, it's public information. And some people aren't using that in their marketing materials.
Well, let me back up a couple of things. Number one, we teach a class called the Professional Tech Academy at the Blue Collar Success Group. Uh, okay, it's a shameless plug, but I know it works, because when we hear people that attend of the difference that it makes in their company with technicians' confidence and skill, one of the things that we really try to drive there, Kenny, is what we call our why me statement. Some might know it as a credibility statement, right? Here's a little bit about me, but here's a little bit about my company. And so we get to the point of the company we teach to recommend to customers, have you checked out our online presence? We have a 4.8 star rating with over 350 reviews. It's a really good company. And so we leverage in the sales presentation that if I'm a salesperson and I'm sitting at a closing table and I've got my brag book, I've got my education book, I'm going to have a screenshot of, by the way, we've got, over 3,000 reviews with a 4.9 star rating. What kind of company do you think we are with a review like that? Then double down on that, Kenny. I'll say this. I tried to use a little bit of a hat trick here. I actually took in one of my ads, and we're going to talk about print ads in the future, but I took one of my print ads, big, massive, full page. I don't want to get in the weeds of it, but I actually took one of my reviews that was a 3-star rating, and I overlaid it onto a screen like it was a computer. So I used my online review as print marketing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Happens all the time when you're engaged in it, when you're conscious of it. And that's all we're trying to do, is drive some awareness here as we share some time with you, and realizing reviews aren't going away. You've got to lean in and just think about them like currency. Like, if somebody was willing to drop a few more bucks in your bank account, you'd probably say yes. And I'm here to tell you today, alongside Chris, you've got some currency in your bank account that you might not be leveraging. There's some dollars, when you find that $100 bill that's tucked behind in the back and you're like, oh, damn, I forgot I put this back here. You've got some of that in your review account. So let's go mine that. Let's go find it. Let's go deeper with it. And let's keep growing these businesses, Chris.
Yeah, in final, don't run from the less than 5-star reviews. Leverage them. You heard me say it. I used a 3-star review in my marketing because when you see the 3-star and then you read the review, you're like, why'd this guy do a 3-star? It doesn't make sense. His review doesn't line up with his star rating. And so I was using that as social proof of 5 stars aren't all you're looking for when you read this. So I will say that I have some dear friends that are here local in my market that own a barbecue restaurant. They pride themselves on high quality service, like service and the food is really good. But they actually have turned 1-star ratings. They get them every now and then just because it's their atmosphere. The way that they operate might be a little edgy, so it attracts a certain customer and it offends other customers before they engage, and it's totally harmless. But they've actually started, Kenny, turning any 1-star reviews into a T-shirt
Right.
with the review
Right.
on it.
Right.
And because the review is so good for the business to share like perspectives, they sell out every time they open up a new shirt order. And so
Yep.
I'm not saying today turn your 1-star reviews into T-shirts, but I'm saying this: there's magic in the reviews if you leverage them in all areas of your business. So Kenny and Rap, I hope that this episode, we couldn't talk everything about reviews in this episode. I feel like there's another episode probably in the future on this.
There definitely could be. And again, communicate with us. Tell us what you're liking, what you want to hear. This episode 6. We got more marketing coming to you in the upcoming weeks as well. Home service business success. Kenny, Chapman, Chris Crew, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Share this with somebody that you care about. Until we talk, make it a better than fantastic week. See you soon,
guys.